So I think testing offers, testing creative, writing better copy. I mean, especially now with AI, like there's no excuse for not testing a million different versions across your list. And obviously if your lists are bigger, you can do more. So I think sending better emails, sending better offers, leveraging better segmentation will hopefully allow you to drive more clicks and drive more conversions, because it's pretty crazy the conversions are the same pretty much the entire last year.
What drives the click? It's subject line. Brand in general, if I trust the brand or not, and the second thing and most important thing is subject line. So test subject lines. With AI now you really can optimize, you can generate great subject lines, and there are AI tools embedded into products here online, etc. You can choose whatever you prefer. But mainly this is a thing. And what we see, like click to conversion rate, the second from the back, so it's growing, yeah. So basically the conversion rate stays the same. So the click is driven by a subject line, then the conversion is driven by the content which is in email. Yeah, so it seems like content in email is working pretty good, but the brands have to improve catchiness of subject lines. So probably that's what I would emphasize here.
All right. What's up, Miami? How are you guys doing? We're in. Look at these beautiful pillows. Thank you to It's All About the Vibe. They're in this room here. Thank you for the donation of the pillow. There they are right there. Really great little pillows that we have. We can use it for our back and everything. I do need a clicker, guys. Or Chase has it. That's probably helpful. All right. Cool. Well, guys, I am very excited to kick this thing off. We're going to kick it off with a lot of things about email. Obviously, you guys know, many of you guys know, I'm the email guy in this room, along with Chase and, of course, Rytis here. And we thought it'd be best to go through a lot of insights of how 2025 is going so far. I feel like that is something that a lot of brands are thinking about, a lot of marketers, agencies, everyone's thinking about this. So we're going to kick this thing off, and I want to start off with just a little bit of introduction to make sure we go. So Rytis, I want to kick it off with you. Rytis, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hello, great to be here. Thanks for inviting. Yeah, co-founder and CEO of Omnisend Marketing Automation. We help you to retain existing customers by automating your email, SMS, web push notification. And we will review a lot of data here, how those channels perform this year.
Yeah, well, thank you for Rytis flying in from Lithuania here. So he made a far trip to be here on the stage.
What's going on, guys? I'm a self-proclaimed email marketing nerd. Shaq, who's the MC, we run an agency together. So we work with brands doing email and SMS. And then Jimmy and I started basically a newsletter and community for email marketers. So really excited to be here.
Cool. Well, thank you too for being here today. I'm very excited to kick this thing off here. So we're going to get right into it. And, we're going to kind of start off with the current state of email marketing, how we've seen 2025 kind of kick off here so far. And I want to get your opinions on this along the way. But, one of the things that we've seen, and we'll start on the one side here, is about the decreased wallet share. And I know everyone's feeling this right now, but so far as we're kind of watching the AOVs, we're seeing about a 12% AOV drop across the industry right now happening. So your average order values are continuing to drop. The biggest thing that I think that we're seeing right now, and I'm sure a lot of you guys feel it, is there's a big discount culture going on right now where discounts are the lead, getting them out there and stuff like that. Any thoughts on that right now, what you're saying, Chase?
Yeah, I'd say for me, I know obviously as a brand, as consumers, we're all feeling it. It's a lot of uncertainty in the market. I don't think that's a surprise. I think email really is that channel, and obviously we're a little biased, but email is really that channel, I think, to do a couple of things. One is to stay top of mind, right? It's the best way to communicate with your guys' customers and subscribers ongoing. And with that, when you are communicating, it shouldn't just be pushing sales and discounts. It should be trying to be the most valuable, helpful brand there is, going above and beyond, giving value, giving education, and frankly, asking people, how can you help? And when you do those types of things, that's going to allow you to hopefully bring up your revenue and drive more consistent revenue because you're being helpful and because you're staying top of mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, one of the things, obviously, everyone knows this and is aware of this. We've got consumer spending habits that are changing rapidly right now, right? A lot of the things that are happening, tariffs, all the things that are happening in this market, there's a lot of uncertainty that's happening in this market. And that's very much something that we're watching and tracking along. And you definitely get to see it, especially on the retention side of the channel. There's also some critical market shifts that are happening. Look, the last couple of years, email has changed a lot. A lot of the privacy changes are making a lot of these changes happen. iOS 18, 17, 16, 15, every iOS is making changes. I mean, the newest iOS changes are, impacted with AI that's starting to happen, spam tracking and all those different things. And we're definitely seeing changes. And when we get to the data, you guys will see things are happening, especially at a broad spectrum. And then, of course, the mobile first environment, right? Everyone's seeing that happen more and more. Rytis, like, what do you think as far as like all the privacy changes that are happening right now?
So I think it's kind of the main thing which is happening, which is not bad thing. So basically, it's kind of defining your true loyal audience over just the large lists that, it was in the past. And maybe, okay, I have a great list. Maybe it's a bit outdated. It's a big one, but kind of the loyal audience that keep buying. And we always, like, once we analyze our customers' behavior and the behavior of their customers, so usually there is a rather small group that are continuously buying and purchasing from them. So all those kind of like privacy shift, it's maybe kind of ruin your numbers, like a bit of vanity metrics. Like we will see some open rates, maybe even click rates, but conversions overall they should stay okay, because this is again the most loyal group of your customers. And of course, you have to constantly keep refreshing your list and asking to subscribe again for email, for SMS communication. It is very important. And then privacy will not make an impact on this loyal customers.
Yeah, absolutely. Good brands, that helps. All right. And then the last thing, of course, consumer behavior and the evolution that's happening in the marketplace, right? Attention spans are shortening, right? TikTok has really shown that off. Is 15 seconds is what people want, and you've got to capture their attention. That's happening more and more. Multi-channel shopping is becoming bigger and bigger. Everyone's going everywhere. I know for myself, I may be subscribed to a lot of brands, but I often shop on Amazon, for example, and that's part of the experience, right? I trust Amazon. It's fast shipping, things like that, and that's part of why you do that. Price sensitivity versus brand loyalty is really starting to be a challenge here. Are you buying the cheapest thing or are you buying the best thing, right? You go to Apple, for example, and you've got a $29 cord and you can buy the same thing for $9. And the question always comes in, what do I buy, right? And if I'm buying an Apple product for my phone, well, I'm an Apple loyalist and I will end up going to spend $29 over the $9 cord because I've had a bad experience. Doesn't mean the product's bad. It's just purely how things are changing. And then, of course, social proof importance. I think that's been bigger than ever. As we're seeing the generational shift of buying habits and behaviors that are happening, we're seeing the social proof is becoming bigger and bigger on the younger generation as they're making those decisions in buying. With that, let's talk about this data. Chase, you want to kind of share about how we got all this data here today?
Yeah, so as Nick mentioned, thank you guys to Rytis and kind of the Omnisend team for the data and allowing us to do this event as a whole. Essentially what we did is we took the data from them where you can kind of see the breakdown of about 55% of brands are using Omnisend just for email. About 42% are using them for both email and SMS. And about 3% are using them just for SMS. So that's kind of the breakdown of their brands. And that is from 125,000 customers. And essentially what we're going to look at throughout this presentation is all of the data from 2024 broken down by quarter, as well as data from 2025 for Q1. And we're going to basically look at data on open rates, email send, SMS send, push notifications. And we're going to compare and kind of give you guys some insights as to what we're seeing. And they have a huge data set. So we're looking at billions of emails per quarter, tens of millions of push notifications and text messages. So thank you guys for the data and allowing us to do this event.
Yeah, this data is going to be incredible with 5.7 billion emails. I mean, you're really getting a core, especially a wide, vast with 125,000 customers. You're going to get a lot of great data. So let's kick off and look at this data and really dive in. We're going to start off with the trends. So what you're seeing there is on the Q1 to Q4, that's 2024, and you're seeing 2025 occur. And, some of the things that you'll see on this thing is pretty interesting is that you're seeing a pretty like linear number, at least when you look at it from the front side. And we spent time investigating and looking at this thing. And one of the things that we see often in this market, which is really interesting, and I want to turn to you guys to talk about this, but a lot of brands compare year over year insights. Now, if you zoom into the top one and the bottom one, which is Q1 of last year and Q1 of this year, you'll notice some really unique trends that you're seeing. First things you'll see, open rates are up, right? We know they're not the most reliable, but they are a trend line at the ultimate things. But click rates are down. And I know I've heard this from many brands that are happening right now, and we're seeing that click rate continue to come down. But what's really interesting is that we're seeing the conversion rate stay steady. So we're seeing a steady conversion rate at the brand store. So people are getting less clicks and making still similar money. So the first question I have is, when brands are often comparing year over year, right, versus the last 90 to 180 days, I think there's an argument to be said. Like, I like to look back 90 to 180 days as a retention marketer is my trend, because that's more relevant than looking at year over year. But a lot of brands think like that, and they're seeing that. And we saw this. Any thoughts on this? Like, I'll start with you, Chase. Like, what are your thoughts as you kind of look at this data?
Yeah, a couple of things. I think one, because we're looking at Q1 versus Q4, a little bit different than Q1 to Q1. I feel like if it was Q1 versus Q2, maybe it makes more sense, because Q4 is just madness, right?
Yes.
Way more offers, way more sends. So that data is a little bit, I don't know, different. I'd say the biggest thing that stood out for me, based off what Jimmy said, Q1 of last year to Q1 of this year, even though we're getting more opens now, we're not able to take advantage of getting more conversions, right? If you look at the actual clicks, the clicks are down. So once we capture people's attention, which it seems like we're doing a better job of now, how do we actually keep their attention? How do we actually get them to convert, right? And I think more brands need to do a better job testing offers, testing creative. I think a lot of people look at the content calendar, they have something that's going out, and they just check the box when they sent it, right? Or I think a lot of people maybe do a subject line test, but they're not actually thinking about offers. And maybe that's a brand thing, maybe that's an agency thing, but I think you need to challenge brands on, what kind of offers, if you're an agency, you should be running, or brands, study your competitors. Like, what are they running? And is there a reason they're running that? So I think testing offers, testing creative, writing better copy. I mean, especially now with AI, like, there's no excuse for not testing a million different versions across your list. And obviously, if your lists are bigger, you can do more. So I think, sending better emails, sending better offers, leveraging better segmentation will hopefully allow you to drive more clicks and drive more conversions, because it's pretty crazy the conversions are the same pretty much the entire last year.
Yeah, that was a good analysis. Rytis.
Oh yeah, with just one thing, completely agree to what you said. Just probably what is important, what drives the click? It's subject line. Brand in general, if I trust the brand or not, and the second thing and most important thing is subject line. So test subject lines. With AI now, you really can optimize, you can generate great subject lines, and AI tools embed it into products here online, etc. You can choose whatever you prefer. So, but mainly this is a thing. And what we see, like click to conversion rate, the second from the back. So it's growing. Yeah. So basically the conversion rate stays the same. So the click is driven by the subject line. Then the conversion is driven by the content, which is in email. Yeah, so it seems like content in email is working pretty good, but the brands have to improve the catchiness of subject lines. So probably that's what I would emphasize here.
Awesome. Let's flip over to SMS data, because I know a lot of people are looking at SMS, and I think SMS has some interesting things going on. But I think the core of this data that I saw was we're seeing an increase of conversion in SMS as a trend. So we're actually seeing, as you can see on that third line over, which says conversion percentage, we're seeing conversion number.
Yeah, so it's really great. So I think it's just another proof that SMS is a really effective channel. But to what we saw, if there is 100% of customers who use email, so only like less than a half, 42% use SMS. So if you're one of those brands that still do not utilize SMS, this is a great proof that this is way more effective. And if we compare like Q1 to Q1, yeah, we see that in click to send rate, there is a little bit drop. But what we have to remember that Easter, which drives a lot of additional clicks, was end of March or beginning of April. So basically the kind of vitiates it's 2 weeks later, which make an impact on click rates as well. So SMS is just an effective channel, and conversion rate is increasing. And if you are not still using it, you should be doing this, as we see, 40% of brands do it and others don't. So
absolutely. Chase, anything to add to that?
The only quick thing to add is, SMS is the only channel where you have pretty much near 100% open rate, right? People either open it because there's intention, or they open it to get rid of it, but either way, they're seeing it. So with that, right, like, I think the biggest thing that brands could be doing better, and people could be doing better in general, is thinking from the customer or consumer's mind, like, what's in it for them? Don't just send a text message because you see that the clicks are here and you might be able to drive sales. Like, really have some intention and think about it strategically. And we'll talk about it later, but making sure that you're leveraging SMS beyond just campaigns is super important as well, because it is so powerful.
Yeah, absolutely.
And SMS, which will not drive like great conversions, highly likely for you, but post-purchase experience, SMS works really, really well for post-purchase communication. Just that's how you show that you care about your customers. Yeah, so we have dispatched, we have delivered, can you leave a review, etc. So SMS works super well, as to what Chase said. It's inevitable. I mean, 100% open rates, 100% read the SMS message.
Absolutely. All right, the next slide, I have a question in the room for you guys. How many people use push notifications in this room? Raise your hand here if you're using push. Wow. You guys are missing a lot of opportunity, ultimately.
It really represents the usage overall. Yeah. I think this room represents.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting to see this. We pulled the push notification data, and there's dollars to be had. And the biggest thing about push notifications that comes down to, which I love, is the cost is very minimal for what it is. This is free money if you can get more people in there, and you can get in front of people more and more. Rytis, I want to kick this thing off with you. Like, what are your thoughts on push?
So initial kind of this room really represents what we see among our customer base, what we see in the market, that it's really a super underutilized channel, although it's a really effective channel, and the ROIs are incredible to what.
But why is it underutilized? Why are we not doing this?
Oh, that's a good question. Shall we ask the audience? I don't know.
Where do they start? Like, why? I'm a brand.
Yeah, your brand. Do you use? You don't.
No.
Okay, so what
do I need? Do I need to download an app? This is the bullshit that I don't know about. Is like, do I need to get an app to then get push notifications?
If you download it on Omnisend, you can use it. Yeah, it's free of charge, is included in your plan. So, I mean, all you user, do you need to download anything?
Well, if I need to do
we're talking about web push notifications.
It's just a script, right?
Yeah,
like,
you're just facing it's pop-ups on your in your browser, either desktop or mobile, just on your browser, Chrome, and then Firefox and Apple as well. Yeah, just no. There's just
not doing it.
Yeah, people just aren't doing it. You literally install a script and it will pop up and work, and you start building a list instantly.
Yeah, that's it. So as the brand is so easy to start using it as a consumer, you should not do anything additional. You should not download any app. It's all web-based. Why people are not utilizing, I think the kind of reputation is not the best, because like back in the days, I don't know, maybe 7 years ago or 8 years ago, it was kind of a rise of push, and everybody started kind of doing a lot of those drop shippers that, maybe not the best quality sellers, etc., maybe overused it a little bit for a while, and then it became kind of a like spammy experience. And if I'm a serious brand, I will not be do push notifications. So that's what we hear from our customers, although it's not true. You have to do it.
Yeah, a couple things on push. I'd say, as Jimmy mentioned and Rytis mentioned, that the cost is pretty much non-existent, so the ROI is super high. The other thing with push is it's very much like SMS, where people will open it and engage with it almost immediately. And then the other thing too is, like, when you think about push, there's zero inbox competition, right? When you think about an email or a text, you're competing with other brands sending emails and texts. With push, it's basically a notification that you get to your phone right away, right? There's no competition. So it's either you write something that's compelling and they open it, or you don't. And it looks like about half the people are actually opening it. And then the other thing too, I think the biggest mistake with push is people treat it like email. They just schedule it, they send it whenever it's convenient for them. They don't look at the web activity of their users. So you want to schedule things when your users are actually engaged, not when it's convenient for you. And if you do that, the engagement could, I think, even be better than what's on the screen.
Yeah. Very important. I think this is something that people can lean into. And it's free revenue. I mean, literally, they're opting in, so it's not forced. They're opting in. They want the notification to be able to hit send with a very minimal. I think it's pretty much on Omnisend's free, literally free money that you're being able to print out and continue to capture, because you have to be in all the channels that the consumer wants to be in. And they might want to email, they might SMS, they might like push. And if they love your brand, they're probably going to be on push. All right, let's jump into some automation data just so we can break down some automation data. I was looking at this data again, and, some of the things that I'm seeing on this data side of things, the biggest thing that I saw that kind of highlighted was we're starting to see a decrease in automation effectiveness, where automation has been a lot of the hero in the world. And I know a lot of people set and forget. This could be as simple as that brands have, say, set up an automation 4 years ago when they started their brand and forgot to update it, which is a very common and typical story that we're seeing. Thoughts here, guys? What do you guys think? I'll start with you, Chase.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest issue, right? Is like when you audit brands' accounts, like they're sending the same abandoned checkout welcome series that they did a year ago, right? So the same consumer is receiving that potentially weekly, monthly, quarterly, right? They're receiving the exact same email ongoing. That after the first time, it kind of loses its excitement. People are like, I've already seen this before. So constantly testing and constantly updating is super important. And with that, like, what do you test, right? Again, like, it's the same type of things. First, testing the subject lines to get people to open And with a lot of these, I think we'll show you the breakdown a little bit. Some of these will get upwards of 60, 70% open rates. Like, look at like the Welcome series or, other ones that we're talking about, Back in Stock, etc. They get insane open rates. And then the actual click-to conversion, a lot of these emails are huge. So I don't know why people aren't giving them the same love that they do to campaigns. So you should be testing the subject lines, the offers, how many messages you send, right? For the abandoned checkout, should you be sending 2 emails? Should you be sending 4 emails? What does the timing look like? There's just so many things that, like, if you're game for making a lot of money for your own brand or for your clients' brands, like, I would spend a lot more time optimizing these and testing these and giving them the love they deserve.
Rytis, anything to add?
And to add to what Chase said is really that on average, like our customers or brands going on this, and they use around like 2 point something automation. So and there are way more automations, and we'll see soon on the other slide that variety of automations is so huge, and you have to use more. So that's what would help with conversions rates as well. So completely agree that, if you just set up a abundant cart few years ago and you never optimized, you never played with it, and there are only like 2 automations, so of course you leave money on the table as well. So just use more automations are still very effective, and the best is that you don't have to do it like on daily, on weekly basis. And you should review, but not every week.
Yeah, I would say every 30 days you should be reviewing your automations. And if you're a marketer or team or agency, they should be reviewing it. Doesn't mean they're always changing it, but products change, your branding changes, your messaging changes, things that are working change. They should be constantly updated along the way.
Yeah, and one last thing to point out, if you look at that second to last one, it says click to conversion. It's basically a third of people on average are converting. Like it's insane. So you can basically do way more with less with automations than you can with campaigns, but they work together where, like, if you do a campaign, you send people to a product page and then they add to cart, but they don't buy, then the abandoned cart's going to kick in, right? So campaigns and automations work hand in hand, where if you have both set up and the more campaigns you send, the more people that go into the automations, it's going to help kind of clean up some of that revenue that maybe you're missing on campaigns. So when you have, as you said, 2 or 3 automations set up, you're leaving so much money on the table. You probably should have, depending on your brand, 8, 10, 12 different automations or more. And then each of those should have anywhere from 2 to 5 emails, depending on if it's a welcome series versus a browse abandonment versus a site abandonment, right? There's just so many emails that you should be having. Like, when it's all said and done, you could be having 50 to 100 different automation emails, which sounds kind of overwhelming, but if you just build them out in increments, focus on a couple every week or a couple every month, by the time you finish building those and the next ones, then go back and test them and go back and test them. So it's super effective.
And optimize automations like occasions based as well, because again, what we see quite often that brands marketers who just set up like abundant cart, the most popular, So just set up and it's always the same. But if there's some kind of like calendar celebrations happening, etc., if there's any occasion, so just adjust a little bit of the subject line, adjust a little bit of the content. It doesn't cost much, maybe 20 minutes for you, etc. But again, it increased effectiveness, becomes more effective.
Yeah. And I think the TLDR here for everyone is 1 in 3 clicks that are happening in your automations are creating conversions. Think about that, guys. Get more clicks in your automations, get more revenue. I think that's the biggest thing you can see in this data trend. And even when you jump over to SMS, I mean, we're seeing that same effectiveness continue to increase with SMS. You're getting higher clicks in SMS. So we're starting to see it. We know that SMS is a now intent flow. It literally works the best in automations, right? SMS is the driver in automations because they're abandoning a cart. They're leaving the cart. They're doing different things. They're getting welcome. People like SMS, and we're seeing it really clearly on the data. Anything to add to this? I think the biggest next one is the really exciting slide here.
Yeah, just quickly, I think with campaigns, a lot of brands are afraid to send SMS campaigns because they're afraid of bothering and kind of, upsetting their customers, their subscribers. The great thing about automations, right, is they feel a lot less obtrusive. If someone took an action on your site or within the email or within the SMS, and then this is triggering a text message that's really relevant and really timely. So I think these are great because they can come across more as like a helping hand, like, saw you checking this out, we saved the cart for you, whatever it might be. So I think automations are heavily underutilized if you look at the volume being sent. So I would set up more of these SMS automations. Obviously, still keep sending, hopefully, maybe a weekly SMS campaign, but double down on this because I think a lot of brands should be doing more of this.
And maybe just, not maybe, but for sure, I mean, don't think about those are email automations, those are SMS automations. Those are automations, and you could and you should put different channels on the same automations. So no, you send email. If there is no click, you follow up with SMS. Or sometimes even if there is a click, you can still send the automation, especially if it's kind of SMS automation, especially if it's kind of there is a post-purchase experience or so. Or what we see sometimes is works super effectively that there is an email automation and there is an SMS with no actual promotional message, but with a message that we send something to your email inbox. Go and check it out. So it really kind of creates, what's in it, and a little bit of intrigue. So that works really well as well.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's jump into this. This is a heavy slide, guys. There's a lot of data in here, but these are the core automations that your brand should be running. We talked about this. Most of the brands are running 2.5, 3 automations. These are the automations that you should be running. And we broke down all the data here, and there's a lot. There is a download at the end. I see everyone taking pictures. Great. You should save that. But there's actually a download of this deck at the end of this presentation too. So don't worry. We're going to give it to you because I know that this is important for you. But I want to ask, as you guys reviewed this data, and I'll start with you, Rytis, what's your favorite automation that I think people are underutilizing in this market?
So I would choose product back in stock. You can see probably it's like the send count is the lowest, or at the same time, I mean, each of D2C brands, sometimes you get in the situation that you're out of stock. I mean, none of us operate like Smoothly ideally that never has such a situation. So you always have to have a waiting list there. And you see the metrics. So this is the send count is the lowest by far. So it's really super underutilized, but the other metrics are just insane. And conversion rate is 6%. So it's crazy. So it's the highest above all the other automations. So it's because people this is how you get the demand. Yeah, this is how you demand. You know that the person really needs this product, and okay, they could potentially buy it from somewhere else, to what Jimmy said, that go somewhere find cheaper, maybe the other provider who has it in stock now, but a lot of them, they just get the back, and you see like open rates are super high as well, etc. So this is how you get the most engaged audience, the audience which really needs this specific product. And ask for email, ask for SMS as well, and you can use like the like 2 steps opt-in form, etc. Ask for email initially, then for phone number as well. Use both channels and invite people to get back, and then to make you out of stock again just immediately within the seconds.
Chase, what do you think? What's the best automation here?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the second to last one, the one that says shipping confirmation. So I think it's the highest open rate one, and all the other metrics look great as well. I think the opportunity here that a lot of people don't take advantage of, they typically just send the shipping details, right? And that's great. People want that. I would have that at kind of the top as like the primary, but as like the secondary, I would include things like product upsells or product recommendations. I would include things like UGC, maybe some promotions of like a referral program, right? I know this email isn't supposed to be entirely selling, right? I know that's not really kind of by the law, but if it is the secondary thing and kind of in that same email, it's totally fair game to include promotional type of things. And as you can see, like it drives revenue and it gets people really excited before they're about to receive it. Maybe even including with here, how to use the product, right? Education around the product. Maybe you get a lot of questions for your customer support on how do I actually use X, Y, and Z product if it's expensive or it's complicated. Toss those in here. Maybe link out to a page on how to use on your website. And that way your customer support is not going to be bogged down with how do we use this? And people too, before they actually get their product, get excited and know how to use it so they get the best actual out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. The next slide here, and we're not gonna go through it. We'll let you download it because I know there's a lot of industries in this room, but we broke down by industry so you can see how you're doing against your peers. If you're looking and saying, oh, I'm a home and garden company or a health company or even a smoking and vaping company, Omnisend, they have a really wide and vast variety of companies, and we took that information and we kind of averaged it out for different things, and this will give you a good metric because you want to know how you're doing. And look, let's be honest, if you got smoking and vaping, they've got the lowest engagement versus autos and vehicles or even arts and entertainment that are absolutely doing great here. All right. And then we also broke it down by country for those that are doing multi-country, worldwide different shipping. We wanted to give you a better understanding of how you're doing per country because they're not equal. People act and react and email very differently across the country. So we broke those things down again so you guys can download it and view this data. Here we go. With that, I want to do an overall analysis. Here's kind of like the high level, and I'll kind of come to you guys after this. But really, number one, there's a big growing adoption of omnichannel. I think that's been very clear. We're seeing it. They're very important to have that integrated and unified experience, and having email and SMS together. There's a shift towards more targeted, less frequent communication. I think what that means is really your automations are the superstar here. Very clear, 3-to-1 conversion. Just get more clicks and automations, you make more money ultimately, right? Obviously, everyone knows the focus on personalization and segmentation that are happening, and automations are more important than ever. 30 days, that's what we recommend. That's what we see. Chase, as we're closing this thing up, any final thoughts here?
Yeah, I think the final thought for me, right, is the world is hard right now. There's so many challenges we all have as brands, as marketers, as consumers. Really doubling down on retention is important, right? I think retention is going to be the most profitable revenue that you guys drive. Obviously, you still need acquisition, you still need everything else, but more of this middle to bottom of the funnel is super, super important to drive that profitable revenue. So if you don't do push, maybe that should be something on your list to go do, because it's a great channel. It's very high ROI. Go add more automations, go send more campaigns, but try to be more, I guess, specific and focus on better segmentation as well, because with all the things happening, deliverability is a concern, all the AI stuff is a concern, all the iOS stuff is a concern. So, more campaigns, better campaigns, and leveraging all these channels kind of in cohesion.
Greatest final word.
Smarter there's anything, Chase. So yeah, more, as we saw, like push underutilized, more automations for sure. Probably one single thing, constantly refresh your subscribers list, both email, SMS, push. Always ask to subscribe. Upon the purchase, while they're visiting your website, that they exiting your website, etc. It's very important to have the really, really relevant and fresh subscriber base.
Amazing. With that, guys, thank you guys all for enjoying the talk, and that's where you can download the data.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Chase, Rytis.